Welcome to the Ditch the Struggle podcast. I'm your host, Alana Rosso. I'm a graphic designer and career and success coach who knew I could do better, but kept falling short of where I wanted to go. From career struggles and anxiety to feeling like nothing is ever going to work out, I'm here to explore all the messy stuff that breaks us down and builds us up. So join me as we transform ourselves and finally ditch the struggle. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Have you ever thought or said, must be nice? Must be nice to have that car. Must be nice to have that fancy job, that great dream job. Must be nice to have that partner. Must be nice to have that above ground pool that you just bought randomly at Costco because it was sitting there and you just felt you needed it. We've kind of all done it. And, you know, when someone has said that to me, or I even catch myself thinking like, it's not a great feeling because it truly comes out of a place of resentment. It comes out of this like yucky place. I kind of feel it has that inner child stomping their feet vibe. Really, we shouldn't care in a way that someone else has something we don't want, or someone else has something that we want. Like, it's hard not to be envious sometimes, and envy is a good thing. I actually think it's great to have some envy because I feel like that can be aspirational. Jealousy feels a little bit different vibe going on there. But generally walking around and thinking must be nice and resenting what other people have, not such a great place to live in. I remember a coach talking about how she went to Costco. We're talking about Costco now. Like, Costco is one of my least favorite places in the world. I really do not enjoy the experience. Declan does 95% of the Costco shopping, but every once in a while, I'm like, okay, today's a day. I need a 12-pack of sweat socks. So we're going to Costco and I'm going to pick them out myself because I would be picky. But so yeah, not a huge Costco fan, but for certain things, it's okay. Less and less so as each day goes on. But I remember a coach talking about she went to Costco and she was just able to buy whatever she wanted. Now, this woman had pulled herself up from literally nothing with 2 children on her own, like had done the whole journey, the gamut of being completely broke, bringing herself up to a level where she could go to Costco and just buy whatever and drop $500, $600, whatever it is. And her sister had commented, well, must be nice to be able to do that. And she's like, yeah, it actually is really nice. It is great to be in this position. And I have done a lot of work to get to this position, not just the actual work, like doing a job, but to mentally get to the space where you can, you know, believe you deserve to do the Costco shopping and you can do it feeling great and not worried that, you know, your bank card's going to be rejected. Like, she's like, yeah, it does feel amazing. And she noticed that, you know, people that always say must be nice kind of have a chip on their shoulder. And I've been starting to see this too. And I've been thinking a lot about this. And yeah, it's really interesting. Like, I will say generally when I see a lot of people saying that, or it's coming out of their mouth a lot, I will say they're probably, to generalize, in victim mode a lot of the time, just like truly resenting what other people having. And instead of thinking, you know, that could be me, or how can I have what that is without that anger and resentment attached to it? So here's one thing that's also been a really big shift for me around this. And that is, because everyone's going through a different journey here, right? I think we have different lessons to learn. And when someone has something easier and they're not having a certain struggle, like, okay, I have multiple friends actually that do not have to worry about money. Truly, they may say they do in some cases, but they really don't, in that they have a safety cushion at all times. They have either a parent or a partner or someone who can help them out financially. So they live a life of more financial ease. They have not had to go through a lot of financial struggle, either in the past or now. And I know quite a few people just don't actually know what true financial struggle is. Now, as someone who, Declan and I have been through everything, being completely broke. And I was just saying, like, I'm actually so grateful we met when we were so young because we were broke and didn't have to like think about prenups and all that stuff. I've had friends had to go through that, but we had to struggle. We had to go through a lot. And it would be easy for me or anyone who struggled to look at someone else and be like, must be nice. You didn't have to go through that, right? Like, and chip on the shoulder. I can't say I was ever in that position. I just was trying to figure out why the hell I couldn't figure things out and get things on track, which I feel like I did. But this is what dawned on me. And this has been a huge, significant aha moment for me. Let's think of one of my friends who doesn't have to struggle financially. Let's call them Mary. So Mary doesn't have to struggle with money. I realize it is not part of their life journey to experience that. I don't think that's what they're here for. They're doing amazing other things. They bring so much love, talent to the world. They're doing incredible things. And I feel like just accepting that other people are here for different lessons. They're going to have different struggles. I mean, we're all going to struggle in one way or another. Like, the people who don't struggle with money, they're often they could have health challenges. Everyone's going through something. So no one's having it easy. But we tend to think that their life is easier or better. I mean, it's really just different. But it is not part of their life journey to experience that. And that for me has been really helpful in thinking about that. First of all, it's taken me away from what other people are doing. And I'm just getting back to what I need to do, what my path is, what my potential is, tapping into that. And I talk about this a lot, putting blinders on and not really worrying what other people are doing. I think that pulls us right into victim mode if we're really comparing ourselves to others or looking at what they're doing. Not necessarily, we're not looking for the inspiration. We're looking to like be annoyed or angry about things. And we want to sometimes drag people down to our level. I mean, that whole crab in a bucket analogy that's used a lot in the personal development world. And it's so true. We're all these crabs in a bucket, kind of these ugly crustaceans. And when one of us tries to escape, the other crabs just like yank them down, right? It's this weird thing. And so I feel like when we have that anger and resentment, that is really a way of like pulling the other crab down. It's like, it's really not getting us anywhere. Here's another example. I have a friend, we'll call her Becca. Becca has it dawned on me, a lot of things dawn on me, usually late at night, that she has really never had to put 100% of her energy ever into caring for someone else. I mean, she cares deeply for everyone around her, but she's never had the responsibility of having to take care of a sick parent and walk through that whole process of them dying. They've never had children. They've never even had a pet, a dog, a cat, a hamster, like has never had someone 100% dependent on them for even a short while. And so I'm not a parent, so I don't know what that feels like to have that level of like children need me, but I have walked through the sick parent thing. I've had pets completely dependent on me. And I remember being a little bit triggered because she couldn't understand really. And didn't I talk about this in episode 106 when I kind of came back? A secret to happiness is not needing to be understood. She never really understood what it's like to have a senior medically challenging dog or to have to be at a hospital 13, 14 hours a day. And we have other friends that are going through that now who their whole lives revolve around taking care of their parents. And she doesn't understand it. And again, there's no point in being upset about this, stomping your feet about it. It's not part of her life journey to experience that. Maybe one day she will. Okay. She's maybe going to go through that at some point. But right now, that hasn't been part of her story. And it is her story. It is her life. It is her decisions, their choices. She's got to do what she's got to do. And she is here to learn different things. I mean, I do feel like we do come with different journeys to do, paths to take, and they're all very, very different. And just letting people do what they need to do is completely freeing. Here's another example about relationships. There are, like, I have come across, I would say, a few people who've resented that I've been in a long-term relationship, that I'm married, I got married young, and it's kind of wild. And here's the thing, I did nothing to really bring a partner into my life. He just showed up at my workplace and I was like, okay, let's get married. And he's like, okay, let's get married. Like, it was very, I didn't have to work for it. It wasn't part of my life journey to have to work for that. That doesn't mean I don't have to work in the marriage. My gosh. And you're definitely never going to hear me giving marriage advice on this show. That's just not what's happening. But it's not been part of my journey to kind of have to go on 50 dating sites and work through 25 relationships. And oh my gosh, I feel for all you people on these apps. Oh my God, the stories. And there are people that have resented me or other people who have relationships in very strange ways. I've had people try to tell me I'm codependent. That is not, I got a lot of things going on. It's not codependence. But at this point also, having been with my husband for so long, I'm going to guess it would be normal to be somewhat codependent. I was definitely codependent on my dog. That's 1,000% sure. But people sometimes have this weird thing, oh, like, must be nice to have that partner or whatever. Yeah, it is really nice. I knew a woman who was a coach in like a self-development program. I used to go to monthly to this program. It was great, actually. And a friend I met there, I think it was like 15, 16 years ago. We're still friends. I hadn't seen her in years, and I ran into her at a trade show. I think it was like the women's show. I think that's still in Toronto. And I ran into her, and we're chatting, and I said, oh, you know what? I actually have like kind of big news. And before I had even said what I was going to say, I didn't get the words out. She grabbed my hand. She's like, are you getting divorced? I was like, no, lady, not getting divorced. Where is this coming from? It was super bizarre. I was like, no, my dad died. A little bit different. Because this must have been 2011 then. Super strange. And yeah, it made me really uncomfortable. I was like, I don't know why you're thinking that or why that, but now she was single. And eventually I know she did move on to get married and all these things. The point is, it's like we're constantly projecting the fear of not having something onto other people and resenting them for it. And I think it's making us a little crazy. And so if we can just step back and not be angry that they're not feeling our struggles or experiencing our struggles or our pain, maybe even be happy for them. Like, I'm so glad you didn't have to go through this, or that you don't have to go through this. And again, everyone's got a billion struggles going on. They are just not talking about it. I feel like I talk about struggle all the time, but there's still a million other things that are going on in my life that can be challenging that I'm, not sharing. And everyone's doing that. But if we can just be kind of happy for them and just accept that it is not part of their life journey to experience that particular thing. It's probably part of ours. That's why it's coming up. I know all of these things that have come up for me are for a specific reason. I'm learning from them all the time. I'm still learning from experiences I had 10, 15 years ago, which I talk about a lot of these old stories, because putting all the pieces together. But for me, it's been very liberating to just love people where they're at and not worry that they can't empathize with my situation. I think we're kind of also going back to that understanding piece. But in certain situations, these scenarios, I have friends who in no way can empathize with what I'm going through. Now, they're supportive, but I know we do talk about empathy and it's so important. But I also think there's sometimes this expectation that everyone should empathize with us on every single facet of our life, instead of just saying, you know what, I can sympathize, but I actually can't empathize. I don't know what it's like to go through that. Like my friend who's never had to take care of, really be there for a sick parent, or someone in their life, never had someone completely dependent on them, even for a short amount of time. How can they empathize with, a lot of other people out there? They can't. And that's okay. It's just, there's a I don't know what this whole new level of acceptance is and that I'm trying to go through. And I think it's just also a way to manage overwhelm in that we have so much on our plates already. There's so much. It's a clown world out there right now. We all know this. And I did an Instagram story about this today, but like chocolate chips were $16 at my grocery store. I did not purchase them. Those were like the organic ones. I went and bought like the ghetto chocolate chips for $5.99 because I just refused. Yeah, it's a wild world out there. And I think some way to manage the overwhelm is to bring it back to ourselves, what we need to go through. And I'm just going to leave this with a phrase and a saying that I love, and that is clean up your own side of the street. I think that's a great one to, again, bring it back to us, take responsibility for what we can control, what's going on in our lives, let other people kind of live their lives and not get too caught up in the fact that they are not maybe struggling in the same way that we are. And you know what? It's okay. I know this seems like really obvious to have to explain, but, or to kind of digest and like understand is totally normal and natural. But yeah, it's not part of their life journey. Let them do their thing and get back to your life journey and making it as struggle-free as possible. Take care, guys. Thank you for joining me today on Ditch the Struggle. Be sure to follow this podcast, visit alanarosa.com, and of course, share it so we can build each other up. And before I go, remember to be your own best advocate, take baby steps for the win, and forget about a linear career path. It's overrated and you are doing just fine. See you next time.